Hello, everybody. Welcome to the ASS Podcast, or the Animation Success Stories Podcast, as you might know us. We're back for, our fifth, our sixth episode? Our sixth
Number
episode.
6.
This is crazy, man. We're really doing this. This is awesome. In case you haven't watched or listened to us before, what we do on this podcast is we interview and we talk to animation industry professionals, and they give us a little bit of their story about what their struggle was, what their hardship was, the mountains they had to climb, the rivers they had to traverse, the shit they had to walk through to get to where they are today in the animation industry. Hopefully it inspires some people out there. Hopefully it's just a fun story. Hopefully if you want to break into the industry, this is something that'll help you kind of have that little push. My name's Anthony Alfonso. I'm here with my co-host.
Sabrina.
And Brian.
Brian. Brian's back this week. Last week we didn't have him, but we're so happy to
Sorry.
have Brian back.
I
Yeah,
had
man.
plans.
How dare you? Today we're talking with Joseph Game.
Yay.
You might know Joseph as Chogrin, and you might also know him from his work on The Regular Show and Adventure Time, and he's also curated over 30 art galleries around the world, around the country,
Around the world.
around just this
Bam.
room. No, around the world, which is pretty
Around
cool.
The what?
mostly in this country, but around the world.
Around the
Okay.
world. Around the world.
Still
That's
impressive.
That's pretty freaking cool. We're going to throw to the intro, but right after this, we're going to learn all about Joseph and his story.
Okay, we're back. Are we back?
Yeah, I guess we're
Now
back.
we're back.
We're back, everybody. And Sabrina, remember to hold the mic to your mouth.
Okay. Is that going to be an ongoing joke?
It's an ongoing joke now because
How close?
it's always
This
like,
close?
yeah. She always does the thing where like when she talks, it's over here, but then when she laughs, it's like right up here. I was like, oh, okay.
Sorry.
But now you're aware of it, so that's what matters.
Sort
You
of.
guys start doing push-ups like 5 pounds.
Dude, now I'm.
These are fat.
These are heavy mics, yeah.
I'm learning.
Yeah, if you're not talking, we expect everyone to be, getting swole. Okay, so we're here at the ASS Podcast, the Animation Success Stories Podcast. Today in the ASS is Joseph Game right over here. Hey, Joseph, what is going on, man?
What's going on, guys? Thanks for having me.
We're very, very happy to have you. We're excited to have you here and learn about your story, learn about why you love animation, why you're working in it, and all the shit you had to go through. Pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Now you're
Nasty
reminding
shit.
me of all the bad stories, all the
Well-
all the things that. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, if there
Please
is any
share.
stories like that, start letting them kind of, coagulate in your brain.
You
and
guys
then they
should
can
call
ooze
this
out.
this should be like the psychologist show for animation.
Ah,
We have a
yeah,
couch.
Yeah, just have people lie down and
Yeah.
go
That's
through
a good
the
idea.
torment.
We
No,
should
I'm
have a
kidding.
segment. Animation therapy.
where they just lie in a couch.
Animation therapy. There you go.
we can all wear fake
Brian will
Sigmund
be the
Freud beards.
therapist.
Yeah. I was gonna say we could all wear fake Sigmund Freud beards.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Even though I have a beard,
You're already
I wear it over
Beard
my
over a beard.
Beard over beard. Yeah. And glasses over my glasses. Okay, so let's start off the podcast, the ASS Podcast, like we usually do. The very first question is, what interested you in animation in the first place? Why did you want to get started in animation?
I guess it would have to start with art and illustration, and this is gonna be really funny. Was watching Ninja Turtles, the part in the movie and the 1990 movie, the original, where April O'Neil is doing watercolor studies of the turtles. That's what inspired me to be an artist in the first place.
That's cool. It's so
Is-
specific.
That is so incredibly specific. I
Yeah.
can't even remember that part of the movie.
I've
You
never
got
even
you
seen
kids.
It's that,
Yeah.
it's that scene like in every
Everyone knows that
in
scene.
The time
Yeah,
period
yeah.
where like they get their butts kicked and then they're recovering, they're going through like
At the farm.
they see like they have the Yoda moment with Splinter, and then April's like doing the voiceover like they're training really hard, and then she's doing like an illustration of Donatello in his truck, like Raphael's like in the bathtub recovering. So
Nice.
anyways, I was like, oh, that's really cool. I don't know why that.
I mean, that's cool. I mean, not everyone knows the exact
Yeah, the
moment.
exact moment.
Yeah.
So that's great. So how old were you that this affected you so much at the time that you were watching this and you're like, oh shit?
That affected me, I think, more like I think artistically, but I think animation, like took over me, I guess, like from the beginning, since I basically grew up with it. Like since I was my first cartoon I think like a lot of kids was probably Disney stuff, but I remember specifically one of my first cartoons was Lucky Luke.
Lucky Luke.
That's a French cartoon.
Yeah,
a lot of people
cartoon.
in
Can't
the
believe I'm
States don't
getting
know
stuck.
that.
Which Walt
Nice.
Disney in the 80s had, I think, like a license to, because I had the Betamax and it said Disney on it.
Oh. I think I recall those as well, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
That's
so
cool.
I kind of grew an affinity for cowboys, and I had my boots, and I would watch. Then I moved on to Brave Star, which
Nice.
was a Filmation cartoon. So I've always been. Animation has always been there in the background.
In addition to Cowboys.
In addition to, yes.
Animation cowboy. It's a hard battle.
Well,
I don't know
I
which
moved out west. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
On your horse, you rode out here.
Where are you from originally?
Give me a call.
Yeah.
I'm originally from Ecuador, South America, but my mom is from the States, so I would make a lot of trips here. So I watched a lot of the culture and the cartoons, and a lot of the toys. So it was kind of like I was getting, growing up in Ecuador, but at the same time, I think in Ecuador also got a lot of the same stuff, like the same cartoons. I mean,
Sure.
like you couldn't escape Ninja Turtles
They're
or
everywhere, yeah.
Ghostbusters or Power Rangers. Although in South America, before Power Rangers was like big, we got actually Super Sentai dubbed in Spanish.
Oh, nice.
So that's the funniest thing, how people complain. I'm like, I don't know about this reboot. Like this reboot is like not original. I'm like, first of all, Power Rangers is not that original because they're ripping off from an original Japanese show.
Yeah.
So, anyways, tangent.
Super Sentai. Yeah, Super Sentai shows go way back. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
I'm learning.
So what was the question?
Wait, I don't remember.
Besides
Where you were
cowboys,
from.
animation.
Yeah,
So-
the first one was like, how did you grow to love animation? And then,
So growing up, how did you work towards that career? Like, what were things that
into
you did growing up? Yeah.
So when I moved here to the States,
When was that? Like, was it
when
in high?
I was 13. When I was
Okay,
13,
so you
it
were a
was like middle
teenager.
school, high school, and then I guess going through your teenage angst
Yep.
period.
Yep.
I found myself putting a lot of my energy into comics.
Okay.
Nice.
And then trying to think. In one of my computer classes, computer for me at that time, coming to the States, was pretty new. So they taught us PowerPoint, which I saw was kind of like a slideshow thing. I could put like picture.
Was it like a desktop publishing class?
It was one of those really basic, but in that class, I like by accident, I kind of sort of like through a slideshow, I noticed that I took like basically stop motion, and I started playing with my Godzilla action figures.
Nice, that's awesome.
So that was kind of what my first little like test. Even though I already kind of had an idea what animation was, that kind of sort of like, oh, this is cool. And then when it came to that time when they like tell you have to go to college after you graduate, and I was just like, oh man, what am I gonna do? I definitely want to do something art related. So then I started looking like, oh, I can actually like work in animation.
Nice.
So
So that was kind of the point where you were like, I can actually do this as a career.
yeah.
When you were thinking about going to college. So you made the choice to go to college for animation.
Yes, and then I got to college and realized that I didn't want to draw the same thing 1,000 times.
Ooh.
So you didn't want to be an animator.
I didn't want to be an animator. So I actually I switched over to illustration, but I minored in animation and
There you
film.
go.
So,
Nice. That's pretty cool.
I actually do admire actual animators because like it's just they're magicians.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, it's bringing something to life like from nothing.
For
Funny,
sure.
we all
So-
say that.
We all say that, but they're like, we don't want to do it.
Yeah. We love you, but
Well, and then like what I don't want to jump ahead, but like in my internship, I actually met like two of these magicians, Ken Boyer and Bob McKnight.
Oh yeah, I worked with both of them on the Looney Tunes show.
Oh, awesome!
Oh.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Nice.
I interned on Class of 3000,
Cool.
which I think only lasted a season, but a lot of that crew, a lot of those contacts were people that were beneficial for me later on because that was the same crew that I worked. That basically I got my first job at
Yeah.
Adventure Time.
Cool.
so
Yeah.
how? So
Nice little
first,
click.
what college did you go to, and how did you land that first internship?
Okay. So I got my internship because of college, and
Okay.
that's the thing I'm gonna point out is while you're in college, please like intern as much as you can because that's the way to go.
Yeah.
About it. Even though like sometimes it might take like a year or two after college, I think it's the way to do it. I went to school at the University of the Arts in Philadelphia.
Okay.
Nice. Cool, man. That's where my brother went.
Yeah, I
Oh.
think Maxwell Adams went there too.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
That's
cool.
the creator of Grim and Mandy, if you don't know.
Yeah. And yeah, Yeah, I went
That's pretty
for illustration, and they have a good illustration program and animation program.
Did you
So
ever-
how did? Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say, did you ever during your was it 4 years at the University
Yeah.
of the Arts?
The first is your what I call art boot camp. The freshman
Yeah.
year, you kind
Yeah.
of sort of like have to. It's kind of funny. Like now, I find myself like trying to think of the same way I thought back in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to kind of get rid of a lot of the stuff that I learned in art school, but it's important to learn all that stuff. Then that way you can break it.
Break those rules.
Afterwards.
So
Learn the
true.
rules so you can break them.
Yeah.
Was there any point while you were in the University of the Arts in Philly that you kind of were doubting yourself of not wanting to do animation and you thinking of going another path or illustration, or was it always?
I was
you were
I was
always
doubting
gung-ho
myself and
about
doing
it?
art in general. I mean,
Oh,
it
yeah?
was just my sophomore year was just so intense because I switched over to illustration that we were doing like oil painting
Yeah.
and all this stuff, and I was like, I'm like, I don't know if this is really what I want to be doing. And then I found my junior year, thank God, I had a teacher, the name of Brian Biggs, and he did comics, he did like Flash. I actually did Flash animation, which I was like, oh, this is really cool because for me it was like vector. Actually, that's another segue. Is that was the year I learned the program that I use the most now, which is
Flash?
Adobe Illustrator.
Oh, Illustrator.
Wait,
oh,
yeah,
cool.
and
Vector
then
based.
It was like a mix. It was a mix back that year, but it was kind of like a vector year.
Oh, cool.
But having that teacher that
Vector
did
year.
comics and animation was just kind of sort of eye opening for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when I was like, okay, I will stick with this.
Nice. So it was kind of the influence of that one specific teacher that really gave you that extra little push to know that you were in the right spot at the right time.
Yeah, it was. Oh, sorry. Well, I just said yeah. So, there's a couple of other teachers. Christian Patchell, we call him Patch.
Shout out.
He got
Yeah.
we got him. He got me kind of like into comics, and then I had another teacher. His name was. Oh man, he's gonna kill me. Joe DiDomenico. Have you guys ever seen these teddy bears called Teddy Scares?
I think
I
I
think
have.
so.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
basically like Care Bears but horror.
Oh, I've seen the teddy
Yeah.
scares. Maybe in like Spencer's Gifts or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
they pink?
He always has a booth at Comic Con.
Oh, yeah, no, I've seen the teddy scares.
Teachers,
Are they pink with like blood on their mouths?
I
you're
know what
thinking
you're
of
talking
something
about,
else.
It's
but
like
yeah,
that?
no,
Oh, okay.
it's kind of like think of like Freddy or like Jason Voorhees, but teddy bear versions.
Okay.
Like, yeah,
That's
they,
pretty
They
cool.
live in a junkyard.
Nice. Cool.
I
So-
just gave you a plug, Joe.
You're welcome, Joe.
Um,
I was gonna say. So while you were at college and you're going through all 4 years of education, learning about illustration and animation, once you were, unless you had anything else to talk about inside of the school, once you were kind of winding things down in college, how did you make that leap from kind of, or how long was there a gap also between finishing school and getting ready and actually going into the actual animation industry and making money from
The
it?
internship.
Yeah. So how? Well, my question about the internship was, how did you find out about that Cartoon Network internship?
It was that time period between I think junior year, like before getting to the year where you graduate, and you kind of they sort of like encourage you like you should intern
Yeah.
somewhere.
and Cartoon Network just was weird.
Well, I knew it was for me. It was like three choices. Like it was Lucasfilm,
Okay.
Cartoon Network, or Disney.
Okay.
And my friend Miranda Weber at the time. Now she's Miranda Dressler. You should have her on the show. She's working at Paul Frank right now. But
Ooh, yes,
she
please.
had an internship at Disney the year before, and she went. She was also an illustration major, so she was the one kind of got the idea in my head. I'm like, oh, I should like really go intern somewhere because everybody else was interning like locally because it was more convenient. But I was like, if I'm gonna do it, I want to go like to the place where I want to work.
Yeah.
And since second grade in Ecuador, I remember always telling my friends, I want to go work for Hanna-Barbera.
Oh wow, cool.
So
Hanna-Barbera.
I mean, which is basically Cartoon
Network.
Yeah.
So yeah, I literally at that time it was like this really complicated like website thing where I was like, I'm just gonna submit and
Yeah.
see what happens. And then literally like I think 3 weeks I kind of forgot about it, and then I got a phone call. They were like, would you mind like it's like can we set up like a phone interview? And I like lost my mind.
Nice.
Wow.
I was like,
That's so great.
Yeah.
It's one of the rare stories of like a kind of a cold calls
Yeah.
internship.
Yeah.
Yeah. that
well, yeah,
deserves
and then
that.
the fact that like nowadays they usually do like a video. They make you do like a video thing. Like they literally went out there without them knowing like how I look like or anything. So it was
whoa.
really cool. And then it was just kind of like, oh, what do I do now? I had to take out a loan
Yeah.
to fly out there. At that time, the internships were unpaid. So
Yeah, sure. And this was what year? This is between your junior and senior year?
yeah, this was back in 2006.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool,
10 years
cool.
ago.
What? Over 10 years ago. That's crazy.
Yep.
So how did you find that internship? Was it like, did you meet the people that were like vital in getting you where you needed to be? Was it a great learning experience? What did it consist of?
Well, it was mostly like production related, but then I kind of sort of like segued into like kind of being behind, like trying to learn from what everybody did. Like the character designer in that show was David Coleman.
Wait, what show is it?
Class of 3000.
Oh, Class of 3000. Right,
Yeah.
right. Okay.
But I mostly hung out with Bob and Ken, so they literally taught me like the bean body, like you start with the bean body in animation. Like they taught me like all the basic stuff. I actually, that summer for me was like, I probably learned there, like, I don't want to like downplay my school, but I really learned what I wanted to do that summer there.
That's really typical.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I learned more working professionally than I ever did in
Same here.
college. Yeah.
On the internship, I learned way
on the
more.
But I'm glad I went. I'm still glad I went to my 4-year school because I met all these teachers and people that I still like keep in touch with today.
Sure.
So-
How long did the internship last? Was it over the summer?
It was over the summer. It was like 3 months.
3 months.
Yeah.
Cool,
Yeah.
cool. So coming back from the summer and going back to your senior year at
I was pretty cocky.
where you're like, look at me, man.
Are we all?
Yeah.
Network.
After
pretty-
that one big internship, we're like, teachers, you don't know what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
I actually
Yeah.
my one teacher actually was ready to fail me.
Oh,
he
no.
He gave me like a slip, like dude, you're like, I think
He's like, you're out of control.
you're out of control, dude. Reel it back. Reel it back. So,
Did he have any good points when he was saying wheel it back, or were you just like,
at the time,
Whatever.
he did a lot of these things where like I was drawing it, and I'm like, I know what I'm doing, dude. Like, you know, like don't draw on top of my stuff with Mylar paper. You know, like,
Oh my God.
So, but then I realized like years later, like he was actually giving me some good pointers, but
Yeah.
at the time I was just too dumb.
nice?
So-
That's good in retrospect. You can appreciate his.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, that's
Totally.
awesome. That's really cool.
Totally, yeah.
So after you finished your senior year, you did your internship.
Actually, I don't want to.
yeah, no, go for it, man. Go for it.
For my senior thesis that
Yeah,
year,
let's hear about it.
it was like everybody looked at my project super weird, but I think I was one of the first people that did it. Is you have to do kind of like an illustration related thing, as like, and they hang it up on the wall. So mine was like a promotional like character posters for an animated series, and I actually ended up putting Cartoon Network's logo on it, and it was like for my own like original little story that I wrote at the time. So
That's really cool.
for me, the like my background and stuff like that is just definitely like it's what I'm bringing to the series. But
Yeah.
You're right.
But,
I mean,
but my problem is the fact that
it
it's
shouldn't
like,
be about that.
yeah, they shouldn't just be like,
Yeah.
oh, we have one thing from like China and then we don't need anything else. What about
Yeah.
like other South America, Indian, African? Let's do everything. If it's a concept's good, do it.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
it.
No,
Yeah.
that makes.
Don't cap it off just because like
There's-
we already have a thing about a woman, so let's not do anything
Oh
else.
my God.
I look at it this way. Like there's a lot of artists that like wear their culture on their sleeve, and I think that you have to do that sometimes. If that's you, like my friend Jorge Gutierrez, like you see his work. Like Mexico is in his DNA,
For sure.
like, and everything
stuff's great.
that he draws. So for me, it's like I want to bring Ecuador into my stuff, but I don't necessarily like think that like if I have a really cool fantasy story or adventure story, like I think about that first and how like, and then if I can implement some of my background into it,
I see the
that's
like
awesome.
I've seen your art before. I've seen the influences that you put in there. It actually does speak
well,
volumes
thank you.
about
Thank
your
you. Yeah.
background.
Yeah,
I like it.
when people tell me that like my stuff looks like Popeye and Astro Boy had a baby, that's the biggest compliment that
No, but then you also
So-
I also do see like the Latino background.
Thank you.
Like there's like a little flavor to like just I don't know either
The
shapes or
decorations.
yeah the decorations like it.
I picked up on that by accident. I started doing these like really ornate things, and I was like, "What's that from?" And then you go to like Ecuador, or just South America in general, like all the doors, everything. Like a lot of houses will like, especially windows, will have these like bars so people can't break in, but they're
Oh.
decorated really nicely.
Oh,
So
cool.
they have
That's
everything's
interesting.
super ornate. So like I think that's kind of where I that
like-
was seeped in.
It's
yeah.
like back in your subconscious, and it's kind of manifesting itself, like
Yeah.
for your art on some kind of like esoteric level.
Yep.
That's
So
pretty
now,
cool.
like I look for that kind of stuff. If I see like a door or something like that, I take a picture of it and like put in my reference.
Oh, see, there you
Nice.
go.
Yeah.
Very
That's
cool. Very
that's
cool.
a very smart thing to do for artists out there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I guess let's continuing from like where we were a second. ago.
I didn't
So
remember.
how did you get
Yeah.
from how did you get your first job after your internship and all that?
after
Like,
your
what
college.
was your foot in the door? How did that happen?
Well, so I did my internship. I graduated from school,
Mm-hmm.
and then there was absolutely nothing.
How long did that last?
The Cartoon Network went through that period.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, this was also during the recession too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's over that time period. It was like 2006, 2007, right?
Yeah, it was really tough then.
I didn't even realize it. What show were you working on then?
When you were at Cartoon Network, I think I just started on Out of Jimmy's Head.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was supposed to PA on that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Then we would work together at that
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
But like around 2007 to 2009, work was really
It was-
sparse.
especially because my plan was to come out, and I think at the time, I remember I was like in Philly, like DVRing, and it was like Flapjack and Chowder. Those were, and then Out of Jimmy's Head. And I think those were like the only things. And Cartoon Network went through their experimental like
Live action with like Andrew WK doing the whole wall thing.
Yeah, that. So I
That was a
literally,
mistake.
was just like, okay, well, so I can't graduate from school and go back to California right away. So I worked at a graphic design firm for like 2 years, and then Adventure Time got picked up.
Oh, cool.
So,
that was your first show?
yeah, and it happened to be the same crew that I interned with. So I
They
literally,
loved you and
I
wanted you
bugged
back.
them. I bugged them. They remembered me because I guess I did a pretty good job interning. So
Yeah.
Pretty good.
So,
okay.
Oh, come on.
I did all
I was
right.
You did great. If you
I
were
was
hired.
charming, I guess. I don't know.
You gave a wink and a nod here
I
and
was
there.
like, hey guys, your friendly neighborhood Ecuadorian.
So speaking of that first job on Adventure Time, you were in Philly, and you were kind of you heard that it got picked up,
Yeah.
and you were like, what did you do exactly to get them to notice you? You said you bugged them, but what does that like consist of? Like, how did you just email the people that you knew?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, first off, I was already a fan of Adventure Time because of the short.
Because of the short. It
I
was great.
remember
The
being
Nick
in
short.
my we had like a senior studio in our last year, and we were like that's when YouTube kind of became big, and everybody was watching that shoes video.
Just
Shoes.
celebrate its 10th.
I think the anniversary
just-
just passed.
Yeah.
I was just listening to that a couple of days ago.
I think that's why it's in my head. But one of the other things was that Adventure Time short that Nickelodeon had done, so then when I got laid off from my graphic design job, and then I said to myself, okay, while I have. That was the first time I collected unemployment. For me, I was like, this is like a paid vacation.
Yeah, right.
So, not really, but I
No.
mean, that's actually where the art show started because I'm one of those
Oh.
people that I always have to keep myself busy.
That's great.
Because otherwise, I just feel like I'm being worthless. Not putting into good time or
Sure. That's a good way to be, for sure.
Oh,
you want to be doing something. You want to be creating.
So I kept myself busy with art shows in Philly, and then they announced Adventure Time because I'm always checking blogs and stuff like that, and I literally tried to find out as soon as I could. There was also Facebook. A friend of mine that I had made friends with out here, I knew he was working on it, and I asked him who's in the production, and it happened to be Kelly Cruz, who was a producer in Class of 3000, and I started emailing her, and I think another friend of mine, Dick Grunert, who's was a production coordinator on the show too, also mentioned my name. The guy who I was friends with is Mike Collins. He's a good guy. He works over at DreamWorks. Cool. But basically, they kind of sort of threw my name into the hat when a PA position opened up, and they were like,
nice.
"This is open." I was like, "I'll take it."
Nice.
So
you started as a PA on
as a
Adventure
PA.
Time.
Yep.
Wow. Season 1.
Season 1. I literally my
Wow.
first day. I remember I was at my mom's house, and I got the call, and they were like, "Okay, can you be here in 2 weeks?" And I was like, "All right, let me
you
see
gotta
what,
say yes.
Not a lot of time
let
to
me
pack
see
up.
what I can pack." Like I literally just I remember I took one of my pots to cook, a towel, and then 5 pairs of clothes, and
Wow, bare essentials.
so yeah,
That's
and then
crazy.
I had to get a money order so I can get this apartment, and then I got to the apartment, and it was like the window was open and leaves were coming in, and I was just like, "This is great."
Yeah.
So
Dude, that's an LA. That's an LA experience.
Oh,
Coming
totally.
here. Was it like a studio apartment?
Yeah, it was like a studio. Yeah,
Nice.
Yeah, there's fun stories.
It's a
in
good
that
first LA apartment. Where in LA was it?
in Burbank,
Yeah.
the San Fernando.
Oh, okay, cool. So that's a pretty good area for your
Yeah.
first apartment.
Yeah.
Not bad, not bad. It's pretty cool. So you started as a PA on Adventure Time, and how did you transition to the art section on Adventure Time?
No, well, Adventure Time was always like they were always bringing different artists, and they were always like very specific of who they wanted. So it was really kind of like tight, like, and there was like really wasn't a lot of space to like move forward or anything like that.
Sure.
But I was happy because I was a fan of the show. I knew the show like was going to be a hit.
Yeah.
At the time, Cartoon Network was still kind of going through figuring out like they were going through an identity crisis still, like after the live action thing. So then Adventure Time hit big, and then regular show also hit big, and regular show came from the Craig McCracken what's it called, Cartoon Institute.
Mm-hmm.
So because they did a couple of shorts, and regular show was one of them.
Oh yeah, like those hand drawn shorts. Is that the one?
No. It was like kind of like, remember What a Cartoon Show that Hanna-Barbera used to do?
Oh yeah,
it was supposed to kind of basically bring that back.
Oh okay.
So
Yeah, it didn't last for very long.
Yeah, I kind of remember the name Cartoon Institute.
I think Danner did a short on that too.
Oh okay.
Yeah.
Was it the one with the arcade?
No, I think it was the one with the it's like a Mega Man type character who split in half.
Oh,
it was a Flash thing.
Oh, cool. A lot of them didn't see the light of day.
Oh yeah.
So
on Adventure Time though, you did move up into as a production coordinator.
I did. Yeah, thank you.
Oh wow.
That's where I eventually came in, like 4 seasons later.
Sabrina was the best intern we had.
I was an intern, and I was working under him.
Nice.
Yeah,
So wait, when did you make the transition from, since you were in production there, the transition from like PA to coordinator?
Well, it's funny because while I was a PA, I was already doing a lot of production coordinator duties. So
that's what tends to happen.
And then I figured, I'm like, well, you know what? I might as well like just get the position credit and get paid a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
So then when the position opened up, I kind of said like, hey, I want to be moved up. So they were, and that's one thing I will say. Kelly Cruz, like one of the best producers in the industry. I mean,
She's
I haven't
lovely.
worked with a lot, but she's great. She's wonderful. So super
Cool.
positive. But yeah, so from production coordinator, it was like a very brief stint. Sabrina was one of our interns. She was super, super good. Like I didn't even like. I remember a lot of people we had to like train, and Sabrina was just like, just do this, and then she's like done. And I was like, I'm like, stop doing it so quick.
You're lying.
No. You were super, super good.
Thank you.
And now you're working in the industry.
Yeah.
Super awesome.
He recommended me. He threw my name around at Cartoon Network when I wanted my first job as a
Steven
PA.
Universe.
Yeah, he basically hooked me up with my first interview on Steven Universe.
Yeah.
And then like you gave my name to.
Oh yeah, Ezzy.
What's her name, right? Yeah. I'm like.
I don't know if she's still at CN, but she's actually the one that interviewed for me for my internship too.
Yeah, there you
so
go.
She's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, that was very sweet. Thank you very much. I'm
Oh
very
yeah, no
grateful
problem.
to this day.
And your first gig was Uncle Grandpa, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I landed on Uncle Grandpa eventually.
Okay, cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you spent how many years on Adventure Time?
The way I always say it is it was like 3 years on Adventure Time and then 4 years on regular show.
Oh, cool.
So it was almost like 3 and 3, but like regular show, since the season ended, it was more. It was like a little bit more towards the
okay,
end. So.
Gotcha. How on regular show? How did you make the leap from AT to regular?
Well, it's funny because while I was a production coordinator on Adventure Time, I think I only had that title for like 6 months.
Okay.
And then I literally took a test and I moved.
didn't know that.
I moved. Yeah. And I moved over to regular show.
Oh, cool. Doing what on regular show?
Character cleanup,
nice.
which is basically like digital inking of
Illustrator?
Illustrator, vectorizing characters, props, and effects for a show.
Oh, nice.
And I knew the artist on there, and he kind of sort of gave me a heads up, like, hey, I'm leaving. So if you want to take a test. So at the end of the day, I mean, he could have recommended me, but I still had to take the test, and that made me feel pretty good that out of the test, JG, the creator, picked mine out. So that was pretty cool.
That's great.
That is
Yeah.
really awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Cool. Okay, cool. You just got a 30-minute mark. That's pretty cool. So, out of working on AT and out of working on regular show, which experience do you think benefited you more as as working in the industry as a professional?
Both.
Oh yeah.
Both, because
Oh God, that's so true.
you learn, you kind of sort of like, especially when you're in production, some productions can be, especially the artistic side, you kind of like, the art is always like very quiet, and you're like, are they being clicky, like, or something? No, they're just working their asses off.
Yeah.
So and then that's what I found out when I went to regular shows. Just kind of like shut my door, put my headphones on, work, and it's a different kind of mindset. Like when you're in production, you have a little bit of that space to be a little bit social, but you're juggling a lot. Like
mostly the social part comes in where like you have tasks and you need to communicate.
Well, you basically have to say, hey, are you done with that stuff?
Yeah.
Trust me, I know it well. Yeah.
You're handling
Constantly
files.
bugging everybody.
Yeah.
Where's those turnarounds?
Yeah. Well, and then you have like those like Friday night like nightmares. Like,
Shipments.
did I ship all that stuff to Korea?
Oh my God. Yes.
Yeah.
For me, it's Canada, but every Friday night I'm there till like 9:30 or 10.
And then they
just
have like a different
waiting for
like,
something to upload.
and I started an Adventure Time when we still shipped everything like physically.
Oh,
I
God.
remember that.
We had
I
to
didn't
meet
know
the
you did that
deadline
ever.
for like they literally had to take it to the airport.
Yep.
And take the box.
What?
Yeah,
That's crazy. I didn't know that was a thing.
My first 4 of the 5 years in the industry, that was everything. Because FTPs weren't fast enough, and
Yeah.
they didn't have a bit large enough information, so you couldn't send the artwork that way.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So you took an actual hard drive, packed it up.
It wasn't
Like
even a
disc,
hard drive. It was just
sometimes
the
disc.
Oh, disc.
Yeah, disc. It was a copy of the final storyboard, the X sheets, and then the character packs. And
Wow.
I basically, what I decided when I was in production, I decided, okay, if I'm gonna assign myself, because there were 2 PAs, and I was just like, there wasn't really a structure, so I kind of was like, I'm gonna make a structure for myself of the things I want to do in the production.
That's so smart.
And then the PAs can pick it up.
And then
Someone's
whoever's
got to
left
do
over-
it. Yeah, no, someone's got to do that because and when you first start off a show, like no one knows what who's doing what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
so
that's
it's
always
good that you
true.
actually set something so that the rest.
And I got to give
figure
a
it out.
shout out to the other PA. We were in the trenches together, Patrick Seary.
Yeah, I remember Patrick.
He's a good dude. Hard worker.
And Adventure Time was very traditional in a lot of their stuff. Like I remember the storyboards had to be scanned and everything too. So
Yeah, well, and that
was-
was crazy, like, because literally, like, I remember being there, like, with pen, drawing the last panel, and like literally grabbing it, doing copies of it, and then having it ready, not just for shipping, but it's very common for first seasons. You have to like present a lot of the episodes to the producers,
Yeah.
and everything. So,
That's crazy.
so we would have meetings, and then like you would have to have 3 copies for these 3 producers, and then you would have to have a board copy for all of them. And it was just like, I'm glad that after season 2, that kind of sort of like faded away. It was just kind of like they were more confident with the show,
Yeah.
and then it was just like then the shipping became digital. I remember when they trained us,
Learning
like,
so
this
much.
is how you ship digitally now.
Yeah.
It's
They
just
trained
like-
you how to use
I was like,
FTP.
oh, the times are
Yeah.
changing.
That's great.
It wasn't that long ago either.
Oh no.
That's great because I'm relatively new to the industry and I've been working in production my entire time in here, and I'm just always used to just zipping a file, putting on FTP, and just waiting for like 2 hours. for it to
Yeah.
happen.
Oh, how
You
good
know.
you have it now.
Yeah, I know. It's like, I didn't know I had it so easy. That's great. Wow, that's pretty cool. Well, that's a nice little factoid for people out there, and it's pretty cool that
It's
you've
still a
worked
lot
in.
of work though. I mean,
Nah, I just take naps while it's uploading.
probably shouldn't say that.
no, it is.
I work really
It's
hard.
okay.
Put a little like anime drop right now.
Yeah. But I was gonna say it's actually really interesting that you started in production and you moved over to the art world.
Yeah.
Because that's something that you don't always see, like somebody doing that transition. Either they stay in the production world or they stay in the art world. So did you find that transition challenging at all?
I will say that when I had my internship, the guy who did the cleanup in Class of 3000, Mike Collins, and then Eric Lazarus, who's the guy who I replaced on a regular show.
Yeah.
I met him also. He was in Camp Lazlo at the time, and I remember that's when I kind of picked up like, oh, I could do that. Like, because I had just learned Illustrator that year in school
Oh, nice.
from my teacher.
Oh,
so I was
perfect.
just
Oh,
like,
right.
and which I hated that program at first. I was like, I will never use this program. And then I use it for everything now.
Yeah.
So production kind of got you more confident in knowing that you can do certain positions because you learn more about the positions.
Yeah,
right?
it was my way. It was basically my way. I knew it was my way in, but then like you kind of sort of like you can get sidetracked sometimes because you're like you're worried about getting the job done and all that stuff. And then it got to a point where like, okay, I want to move along. I want to join the animation union and all that stuff. So when that position opened up, I thought it was the perfect. It was really tough leaving Adventure Time because it was like I was such a fan, big show. But then at the same time, the regular show was super fun too. And then I became a huge fan of regular show because it had a lot of sensibilities that I have. I'm I'm an '80s kid,
Mhm.
and everything in that show is basically, every other episode is an '80s reference.
Hey, you got to
know?
work on both at least.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. So I'm super proud to have had the opportunity to do both. Yeah.
That
That's
is
great.
pretty
Can
rad.
I ask something
ask
before we
anything.
go into questions?
Sure.
Yeah.
Can you please tell us about your art shows and
Oh yeah.
like what kind of shows you've done? And
That stuff's boring.
no,
Okay.
like just really quick. I want to know about that.
Okay, so actually, a really funny story. When I was laid off from my first job in Philly, as I mentioned, I wanted to keep myself busy. So a lot of my teachers from school, they also had kind of this little group called the Philadelphia Cartoonist Society.
Oh.
So they kind of sort of did art shows from time to time, and I was like, oh, I can do that with my classmates. And then we kind of created this group called the Autumn Society of Philadelphia. My friend Sam Heimer named it, and it's kind of like being in a band.
Yeah, you got like a club together.
Yeah,
sort of?
yeah, it was like a treehouse club, and
That's great.
And then like, cause I was like, like I got really into it. I kept like doing like, I'm like, and then we should do this, and we should do that, and we should do a zine, and I basically asked this comic book shop that had a gallery space where they had done other shows, and I asked them, can we do a show? And the first show we did was actually in April, and it was a Joker themed show.
That's
Oh,
great.
Cool.
So-
Wait, what year is this?
2009.
That's nice. So it was around the Dark Knight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
cool.
Yeah.
are most of your shows like a lot of like tribute type shows?
We started pop culture because we started off that comic book shop, and then that show was like a huge hit. Like I literally invited everybody and their grandmother, everybody I knew, and we like just like saloon plastered the wall, like. And then
That's
the
so
next
good.
thing you know, like a bunch of people came, and then the guys were like, "Hey, you guys available next month? You want to do another show?" So then I was
Yay.
just kind of like, this is the way I've treated every show ever since. What do I want to draw, and what do I want to put in my portfolio? So I made like a list of like 50 things. And then ever since that, it's like spiraled out of control. So
That's great.
and it's something that we just started doing for fun, and now it's like become crazy. I worked with Mike Mignola. I've done an official Hellboy show. I've worked with official licenses for Popeye.
Guillermo del Toro.
Guillermo del Toro.
Oh, you
Done
worked with
tribute
Guillermo
stuff?
del Toro?
Well, I didn't, work with him, but
Yeah.
I did an official tribute show for him, and he
Oh,
came.
wow,
and,
cool.
yeah, it was pretty.
That's
it was
really
pretty
rad.
It was
That's
pretty
really
rad, and I'm
awesome.
a huge Guillermo fan. So.
He's very nice.
Yeah.
Yes,
Who
he
isn't?
is.
He's the best.
I think that's what I think every artist and director aspires to be, is like,
Yeah.
like to be that like
Not dick dude. Just kidding.
humble, and then just be a true artist. Be true to
Yeah.
your roots and to your origins and to what you
Yeah.
want to do.
And super
Yeah.
passionate and talented. It's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
That's really cool, man. So I know we're gonna do questions really soon. We have a couple questions we want to ask, like from the internet, from fans.
Oh, before we get there, I
Two-
want to give
Yeah.
a shout out to my high school art teachers,
do
Jeff Lynch and Miss Fallon, and my Spanish teacher, Mr. Romansky. So,
Yeah.
thank you.
Spanish teacher.
I
Shout
actually
out,
learned a
guys.
lot of art stuff from my Spanish teacher, because he would show us videos of Frida, Diego Rivera.
Oh, that's great.
Whoa,
and,
cool.
and,
That's
and
great.
stuff like that. So like, I learned the technique stuff like in art class, but then like a lot of the art history stuff, which inspires
It's
me.
important.
What's really interesting about that is that because art as a kind of career profession, how it influences the world, isn't really taught a lot in this country. But I can imagine, like, you grow up with, like, Spanish speakers and, like, people from outside the country. It's like, we understand the importance of art and how it affects society and
totally.
civilization and how it affects culture,
Yeah.
which we don't do enough in this country, in America.
I know, and then going back to the art show thing, it's fun doing the pop culture stuff. But anytime I get a chance to do something for like a fundraiser or something that's like towards something that doesn't have to be pop culture, we jump on it. There's one year we did one for the Wildlife.
I was
Learning
about to
Center.
mention that. I remember
Uh,
doing a piece for that.
Yep,
That was
yeah.
so fun.
Yeah, we raised money for those, and and we've done. I actually those are the ones I get the most out of doing those kind of shows.
Because all the
So,
money goes to charity.
Totally, and that's
So
when I
great.
feel like, wow, my artwork's like doing something good.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, that's the beauty about being an artist. There's like all these different venues and things that you can take your art down the line.
Yeah.
So.
And then nowadays you do sell your art on merchandise and stuff, right?
Yeah.
you
You have one of my shirts. So, yeah. I mean, I've done a lot of T-shirts. I'm like playing around with ZBrush, trying to do like 3D printing my like sculpture of my work. I work with this artist. Her name is Taylor Brown. She basically translates a lot of my stuff into 3D beautifully.
So cool.
That's really cool.
And then all that stuff, I feel like it's beginning to. I think I'm going to use all these different aspects of things that I've learned, and I'm going to put it towards like presentations for my pitches.
Okay.
So and now I've also gathered like a roster of like over 200 artists that if someday I do get to do my own show, I know who's going to do my backgrounds.
That's so important.
Yeah. So
Connections for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And friends too, I'm sure.
Oh, totally,
Yeah.
totally. And in each show, like I have different show ideas, so each show is not going to look the same. Maybe character design wise, just because but background wise, I always have like, I'd be cool to do this and that. I've always wanted backgrounds to be like in a way kind of like the old what's that technique that the Fleischers did where the camera they actually shot
they use
like actual models
the cells in front
and also
for sure.
what's his
like parallaxing, right?
I think so.
It was in Gulliver's
multiplayer?
Travels too.
Yeah, so I always think that the backgrounds should and the characters should pop. Should have
sure.
that. Yeah, they should both have like be characters.
Yeah.
Obviously,
that's
the
cool.
character on the screen should drive.
But the background should have a personality of its own.
Totally.
That's really cool, man.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what you create.
I feel really bad. I feel like I've gone all over the place. You guys.
No, that's
any-
great.
Oh, no, man.
That's great.
Dude, this is
So
great. No,
we
go
did
off
get
tangents,
we
it's
did
fine.
catch though that your main goal is to eventually get a series, your own series, right?
Yeah, and my
Okay.
ultimate art gallery is to do a show with Metallica.
There you go.
Nice.
So,
Metallica.
although I was talking to my friend David, I told him that like the show that I did with Guillermo, that was like, to me that really I could end there. That's pretty much my ultimate. But
The apocalypse happens there, you're happy.
but then exactly. But then something else comes along. I'm like, I could do that. I'm like, I've gotten this far. Why not keep pushing it?
Yeah.
Nice.
So, and that's one of the things I guess as advice I tell anybody is like, don't be afraid to ask,
Yeah.
because you will
Great
be
advice.
surprised that how many people would give you an opportunity if you ask like nicely.
Like we asked you to be here today.
Yeah, for sure. It's
So-
funny that you said that because my next question was, I was going to say before we get to like the fan questions was, if you have any advice for people that are struggling to get in the industry, younger people, what would it be? And it might be that
Internships.
internships. too.
Internships.
That was mine, too.
Be positive. You don't have to be like hey everybody.
Don't be Mickey
but
Mouse.
don't be yeah. You don't have to be Mickey Mouse, but just really want it. Be fierce about it too. You really have to want it. So
Great.
That's the best advice.
Yeah, that's really
great.
good advice for sure.
So
Okay.
So I
Good
think we have a
questions.
few fan questions, right?
From Little Toots, got my phone.
We're gonna...
Mr. Nick, engineer,
Thank you, Nick.
got my phone. Thank
Much
you. I'm gonna
obliged.
edit
Well,
this
fun.
part out.
I actually was gonna say I don't do this kind of stuff a lot. So I'm sorry if it's
Dude,
really-
don't be sorry about
You are
anything.
great.
You're killing it,
doing
really.
great.
I think you're really giving a lot of information that
You're talking. That's all that matters.
Yeah. That's all that matters.
I
No,
don't know if what
Yeah.
I'm saying. I guess.
the
Just the
people,
people we gotta
the people
squeeze.
that seek out our show and watch it, I think they're definitely going to get a lot out of everything you're saying.
And
So
they-
it's really helpful.
And they enjoy hearing the stories.
Oh, cool.
For sure, yeah. So before, actually,
Thanks for having me.
yeah, I have one more cool question popped in my head.
Yeah.
Your entire journey. So I know you started off as watching the Ninja Turtles, and you were watching Cool Luke, getting inspired by all the. What was it? What it's called?
Lucky Luke.
Lucky Luke.
Cool Luke is pretty cool though.
Cool- Is that another thing?
I think
That's
it
a
is.
Cool.
movie.
The Cool Hand Luke is.
Cool Hand Luke's a movie.
So
yeah.
you started off with that watercolor scene in the Ninja Turtles. You were like, "Whoa, this is awesome!" You were watching Lucky Luke. You were moving up.
Ghostbusters logo too. The Ghostbusters logo
Oh,
too.
it's a big one.
Ghostbusters
Big
logo
one,
was the
yeah.
inspiration. Did you draw it over and over again, kind of thing?
Yeah, that's one of the art gallery projects I did. Is I invited a bunch of artists to do their own take on the Ghostbusters logo.
Didn't you have the
Nice.
car outside too?
Yeah. That's one of that's one of my confessions is I'm a diehard Ghostbusters fan. So
I remember just going down Magnolia that one night.
yeah, that's actually that's when I started.
and then I saw that car outside, and then I was like, "Oh my God, Joe's here! This is great!
since
it was really
since
cool."
I had joined the message boards like back in like 90, like the beginning of the internet, I was like, I kind of knew who had a car.
Oh wow!
So I just kind of like
Connections.
kind of like email them like, hey, can you bring your car out for this event? And it just like makes the event so much cooler.
That is
So-
yeah, I
really
remember
awesome.
that. That was really cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. So I was gonna say, so we were going obviously through high school, through college, University of the Arts in Philly, your internship at Cartoon Network, all the way up to where you are now.
Mhm.
What was your biggest struggle at that point? The entire time, what was your biggest struggle, and how did you overcome it, or did you have any huge struggle?
Just kind of like to achieving my goals.
Yeah, I think.
I think at the beginning it wasn't really a struggle. It was like I was just keeping myself busy, and I think I was so busy that I just couldn't I kind of lost focus a little bit.
Yeah.
Of what I came here to the animation industry for and why I'm here. And
Sure.
I don't think it's a bad thing because doing the art shows at the time, I was really focusing on that, and that really has given me this completely other like experience that I didn't even plan.
Mm-hmm.
So, but at the time, I guess struggle wise, it was just kind of sort of like being confident, like trying to be confident to just like jump over to the animation part of it and be confident that I could do that.
Yeah, for sure.
And that it's one step closer to hopefully, at some point, creating my own show. So
I agree. I think I like what you said about like I resonate with what you said about losing focus because sometimes when you especially
it's super easy, man.
Yeah, when
super
you
easy.
when you start working in the animation industry, sometimes like you start obviously working for a show and you're stoked about it. At least for me,
Yeah.
But I think it's always important for people that are coming, with certain goals and aspirations to keep in mind what they're really passionate about. So if you kind of start doing something,
what I always do, and then I take this from J.R. Tolkien because he rewrote Lord of the Rings like every time he would start, he would rewrite the whole story, like every 10 years. So every year I update my goals list, and I put it in front of me, and I make sure that I get a couple of those things done in a year.
So organized.
That's another
great
piece
of
advice.
you just
like,
ask.
do you even have a goals list?
Just ask my wife. Like I have like. I drive her nuts with my Post-its everywhere.
But you got.
She's like, you're like the guy from Memento.
Yeah.
So
I always have a mental goal list, but like putting it down on paper just makes it so much more.
I should
legit.
also take this opportunity to thank my family and my wife and stepson for being so supportive and patient with me. So
yeah.
You're very sweet. I met her.
yeah.
Nice. Okay, so I think we're gonna move over to the questions now. Thanks so much for telling us your story. That was awesome, man. I had a lot of fun hearing it, and it was great. So let's move over. Sabrina has a handful of questions.
So these
for
questions you got in through from fans.
Yeah, from fans. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I just copied and pasted.
It's totally
Sorry
fine.
I didn't get your names.
We would we'll try to get your names.
You know who
in
you
the
are.
Description or
Wink.
something. But yeah, if you're a fan of his, you know who he is or who said this or whatever. Okay. Anyways, I noticed a lot of these questions. I'm gonna read them anyways, just for the sake of
If
the
some
fans.
of them are redundant and we already answered, good. Yeah.
But I will read them anyways, just so that the fans they
Yeah,
know, you know.
totally,
what I mean?
totally.
Okay, so we already kind of answered this. How did you get into animation, and what were your animation influences growing up? That we actually we did answer that.
Yeah.
any other big influences that you didn't mention?
Biggest influences, like artistically, most recently over the years, comic book wise, Mike Mignola, but the way I draw and animation wise, definitely Ub Iwerks and Osamu Tezuka.
Nice.
So yeah, and I'm a huge anime fan. Also a big fan of just like Fleischer, old cartoons. Just those are the things that are always in the background, just anime and old cartoons.
What's your favorite anime show and your favorite anime movie?
Anime movie, just because I watched it recently, Akira. And anime show, Cowboy Bebop. So
Those are great
Wonderful.
choices.
Wonderful choices.
I know those are just like
No, but they're classics. They're great.
mentioned so much
like
'cause they're great.
hardcore like nerd like anime show,
Yeah.
Dragon Ball.
Okay,
So,
there you go. They're all great.
Yeah.
Okay, who have been your mentors throughout your career?
I'd say every stage that I've gone through, high school, my art teachers, my teachers in college. I get my latest on Adventure Time. It was my art director Nick Jennings,
I
who
remember Nick.
is a super talented guy. He's now
Very sweet too.
showrunner on the new Powerpuff, and
Oh, he's a showrunner on that.
yep.
Cool.
And JG was pretty cool. It was one thing I will say about JG is like he's very like on the schedule, gets everything done. He's a hard worker, and that just seeing that kind of stuff like it's inspiring.
Yeah.
For sure. My art director Paula Spence also on regular show. Yeah, pretty cool people.
Great.
Nice.
Yep.
Yay. Okay, what was it like working with Guillermo del Toro it says on art show, but on art show.
So when we talked about that, I didn't technically work
with
with him, but I kind of sort of did it in tribute to him because I did this smaller show back in 2013 at this. He came by and bought some of the pieces, so that was really cool.
Some of your pieces?
Yeah. Actually, I got to visit his house at one point. Not to, but
That's awesome.
and one of the rooms, he has an animation room, which is really rad. It's like basically like this on steroids.
I've heard about that house, that room. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's besides like he has an asteroid, stuff like that. And then I saw in the corner there was like the rock from Pan's Labyrinth, and then above were like my pieces hanging there, and I was just like,
That's so cool.
That has to be such a great
that
feeling.
That was
Wow.
pretty rad. So I was just kind of like, I'm done.
That's great.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But yeah, no. So after that, one of Guillermo's friends and also one of my friends approached me about doing a show, a bigger show for Guillermo, and then that's what the show was at Gallery 1988. Which I also have to give Gallery 1988 a shout out. They're the ones that really kind of sort of spearheaded my art gallery curator career.
That's great.
Because my biggest show that I started out with was we were doing all the shows in Philly, and then the shows in Philly picked up so much attention online, and it happened at the time when I got my job at Adventure Time. I got the phone call, and then I also got the phone call from Gallery 1988. He said, "You want to do a show in LA?" I was like, "That's great because I'm moving out to LA, so it works out."
Wow, that's perfect timing.
So I did this show called
Serendipity.
the 3G show, and that was the first time I got an Ecto 1 to show up. So with
That's
a
great.
time machine, the DeLorean, that was pretty cool.
Ooh,
Yeah,
sick, man.
that's
That's great.
That's really cool. A question I totally I missed, but we did answer it was how did you get started with the gallery shows? And it was all in what was it, your college or?
Is the friends from Philly?
Friends from Philly, and then it was almost kind of like a dare, like, oh, we should do
The
like
Autumn Group, right?
Yeah, the Autumn Society.
Autumn Society.
We should do a show, and then it just spun out of control.
Okay.
Nice. You never know what's going to lead where.
How did you get to curate all these shows? And how did you? Oh, sorry, I'm going to combine these two. And how did you get permission to do shows for Popeye, Hellboy, and He-Man?
Well, the official shows came out from just doing all these shows, and each show kept getting more publicity. So I was able to invite like bigger artists, like now they're not going to come to my head, but some of my hero artists that I've been able to work with is insane. Like Mike Mignola did like a piece for a Guillermo show, which was insane.
Awesome.
And so yeah, basically just working with kind of like bigger name artists was able, like, you're kind of sort of like, it's your calling card, and you can be like, hey, I want to do an official Popeye show. And just watching behind the scenes documentary stuff on Popeye, you get to know who the guy at King Features is, like, and you just send him an email and
Do your
like, hey,
research, man.
Nice.
and
That's
then
awesome.
you have a lunch meeting, and they're like, okay, well, you can do this, and that with Popeye, and as long as you respect that, you can do your show. So
So you did that with Popeye, Hellboy, and He-Man?
Yeah, yep. And then all those shows it's really cool to do stuff like unofficially, but it's also really cool. It's even cooler to work with the actual people
Yeah.
behind it. So and that's kind of like what I like to do. If I did another big show like that, I would love to work with Nintendo to do what I already thought about it, called like the Super Mario Super Art Show. So,
That sounds great.
but
Let me know when you
That's
do that
coming
one.
up.
A reference to the 80s cartoon.
Yes.
Yeah, in series.
Yep.
I'd love to know when you do that one.
Yeah.
Cool.
What is your advice for anyone who wants to get into the animation industry? Is there like one more?
Internships.
Internships, and
Internships.
you really. One thing I will say is that you have to take into consideration too. Like, it's awesome that you want to be an animator. That we actually need more animators, because I think it's just because there's a lot of in-house
In-house ones right now.
in-house ones. So a lot of people get discouraged thinking like, oh, there's no more animation. There is actually, but I also want to like let people know too that it's more than animation too. You can become a background artist. You can become a character designer, prop designer.
Storyboards.
Somebody, all the like with the poof like farts that you see physically, somebody has to draw
Effects.
Effects, yeah.
that. So effects.
Which is the hardest to do.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
Every fart is
special
drawn,
people
people.
can do that.
Yeah, exactly. So there's everything, color.
Sure.
What is your ultimate goal in animation?
Create my own series, and then eventually make like a Pixar like film. Yeah.
Ooh,
So
awesome.
my I think like somebody who's like set the bar for me is Jorge Gutierrez,
Okay.
because he's done his own TV show and he's made his movie.
Yeah.
And I just don't want to do animation stuff. Like animation, I'm super passionate about animation, but I want to do some documentaries and some like live action film. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
documentary might be in your future.
Maybe.
Oh yes, yeah. Wink. So
Okay, what are some of your biggest accomplishments as an artist?
Man, I guess like that. For me, when I look back and I guess I pinch myself a little bit. That show that I got to ride in the Ghostbusters car with Ernie Hudson.
Whoa, that's so cool.
That the show that I mentioned earlier, the 3G
That's
show.
great.
That is just like being a huge Ghostbusters nerd.
Yeah.
And be able to go pick up a Ghostbuster at his house and then go to the gallery in the car, and then I'm like suited up in the Ghostbuster suit. Okay, I gotta
So
tell the
jealous.
story really quick.
Go ahead.
Dude. Like I can't believe this happened. Like it was insane. Like I literally emailed these guys. They had this Ecto one in San Diego. So and they're like, I just wanted the car for the art gallery, and then they're like, we gave a proton pack to Ernie Hudson. He kind of, it was sort of like he kind of owes us a favor. It's like you want
So funny.
You want him to come. You want us to ask
Imagine
him like
he didn't
to come
want
along.
to, and they're like, "Well, he owes
No,
us."
dude,
So.
Ernie Hudson, you're the bomb. He is like the nicest person, probably the nicest Ghostbuster. I met Dan Aykroyd briefly, but Ernie Hudson is awesome, awesome, and he stayed throughout the whole show. Like talked to everybody, it was,
my God.
and we actually ran the sirens, like when we were like going in, and the cop,
great.
and we thought we were gonna get arrested, and the cop cars were stopping, and they were going like this.
Oh,
Yes.
that's
I
so
was like,
cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
That's
It was like
Awesome.
pass,
Yeah.
complete pass.
dude. So after that I was just kind of like, and then the Guillermo show and Popeye and Hellboy with Mike Mignola. I mean, those are definitely
So meeting your like.
yeah, and then working on shows like Adventure Time, because when I was in that show, I was like, I can't believe it. This show's so rad.
Yeah.
Like,
You got to be a part of it.
yeah,
Yeah.
So
That's
yeah.
so cool. Okay. What other of your heroes do you want to work with?
Metallica. Well, I mean, like, it just, I think music is a big part of an artist, and especially those first 3 Metallica CDs are like such of my fuel of like when I need to get stuff done, and I just think their story is really inspirational. There's a lot of like any artist, any person, they have their ups and downs, but I think overall they're pretty inspirational of what they've accomplished for me. And then other than that, I mean, I would love to do a big art show in Japan. So yeah.
Nice.
Yes.
Like an anime.
Dude, yeah, that would be right. If I could work like officially with Tezuka, I kind of sort of did like through Gallery
What about
Nucleus, but
Miyazaki?
oh yeah, but that's like untouched territory. That's almost like
He already does his own
that's
thing.
that's too heavenly. I don't know if I would
Hey,
I would feel
shoot
bad.
for the stars.
Yeah,
Why?
I guess no. I don't know. It's just too good. It's just too good.
But everybody loves doing
That's-
tributes for that.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
See how Miyazaki feels about it.
Yeah.
Boy,
Go ahead
that's
and contact
the
him.
hard
Oh yeah, no.
You're like, I'm scared.
I love him, but I'm scared of him
Yeah,
at the same time.
I am too. Actually, I've heard things. I'm like, okay, I don't want to step on his toes.
Yeah.
So tell him I'm a fan.
I have huge respect for him. He's amazing. My favorite, since we're on the topic, my top 3 are Nausicaa, Castle in the Sky, La Puta, and sorry.
Is it La Puta or La Puta?
Let's La
It's
Puta.
La Puta.
Uh,
La
you,
Puta.
can, you can edit that out.
Yeah.
No editing.
All the Latinos know what we mean by La Puta.
La Puta.
And
Oh, I just got that.
That's horrible. I'm a horrible human being. And then the other one's Prince Mononoke.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good one.
Awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
I feel so dumb. I just got that. Okay. Let's see. Who are your main artistic influences? Which we kind of touched up on already.
Yeah, we kind of covered those.
Yeah. I
Um,
want to do a shout out to an Ecuadorian artist, Guayasamín. He's a big influence of mine too. So, Guayasamín, yeah. Oswaldo Guayasamín. He's cool.
Check them out.
Who are some of your animation heroes?
We did. Oh, these
Yeah.
are all the same questions.
What?
Yeah.
There you
Come on,
go.
people. No, I'm
Yeah,
joking. They're all good.
we mentioned a lot.
Yeah.
What animation time period is your favorite?
Fleischer's early Disney. I really admire the time period where Ub Iwerks left Disney to create all his Cinecolor cartoons. I mean, they were really weird. My favorite one.
frog
Have,
stuff.
have you seen Balloon Land?
Yeah, Balloon Land is
yeah.
great.
Best.
I love that.
so if I can achieve that kind of like weirdness and like kind of like animation, like I think actually Pat McHale did a pretty good like tribute sort of to that
Over the garden wall?
the garden wall and that dream sequence.
Oh
Pretty
yeah, that
cool.
dream sequence is great. Yeah, the way they colorize it to make it look like.
Yeah.
So you want to
yeah.
cater to psychedelic people?
Oh
Just
no,
kidding.
I mean no, I don't want to. No, I don't know if I want to go that weird,
I'm
but I
kidding.
just style wise, it's beautiful. It's gorgeous.
Like
to
when you
look
go
at.
back and watch Dumbo in that one scene, you're like
The pink elephant
Oh
scene.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
that's great.
That still trips
Yeah.
me out to this day. Okay, sorry.
No, it's good. They don't make them like they used to.
For
No.
sure. Yeah.
Well, sort of. I don't know. Sometimes.
They try. They try to replicate.
We're making a comeback. I feel like Adventure Time and all these other shows like
Oh, yeah.
Flapjack, they're like Neo Rubber Hose.
Yeah.
So-
No, they are. They are for
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I even hear people
That's a good
referring to it as rubber hose animation. I've heard that like as talking about Adventure Time regular show.
Yeah.
Rubber show.
Oh yeah.
Noodle.
Yeah.
Even
Rubber
Rick
hose.
and Morty to a small degree. Cause
Oh,
they're
yeah.
all rubber hose.
'Cause of the arm-
characters,
yeah.
But
Yeah.
I like
Gotta be
in
with
in
the
some of the
design.
meetings of Adventure Time, it was funny. Like even though the characters were rubbery and like loose like that, like Penn would have really like specific notes. Like if a character got electrocuted, you couldn't see his skeleton because it looked too cartoony. So it was kind of like okay, there's like it has that dynamic, but there's rules. And I like that.
That's cool.
I
That's
didn't-
cool because it has that realistic aspect of it too.
Yeah.
So-
for sure. It has, they have what they have on their back. They can't pull out a mallet out of their shit.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, it was
So
very like D&D influenced.
yeah.
That's really cool.
Cool.
Do you plan on making animations based on your Ecuadorian roots? Yes, we kind of
We did discuss
Yes. That's my plan. I plan on doing a lot of stuff
Pitches and
influenced by
stuff,
that.
yeah.
Yep.
Very cool.
We already went on how did you get into Adventure Time? How was the process of going from production to joining the animation union on regular show?
Oh, we did one too. Wow.
And then what are you working on now, which you can't really mention?
Oh yeah, I'm working on some stuff that has yet to be announced. But yeah, I'm working on some stuff. Pretty cool stuff.
Cool
But
stuff.
yeah, we all kind of got.
Hopefully
over that.
soon some of my own stuff.
I have one more question to
Yeah,
close this.
Sure.
Thank you, little toots.
Thanks, Toots.
Thank you, Toots.
My question is, what was like? Do you have like any big interesting stories from either Adventure Time or regular show that you can remember, like that just kind of popped out, like something behind the scenes, something crazy behind the scenes?
Some drama. We're gonna drop some names.
regular
Throw some people under the bus. No, I'm joking.
No. Regular show. One time when we since the show is basically over now, but we were working on the movie and the show at the same time.
Oh wow.
So basically they treated the movie as like 6 episodes. So
Oh.
Interesting.
but that was probably the most intense. But and that was like it became a blur. But
Yeah.
I mean, there's really no drama. It was just really like a lot. That was like the most intense I think time I had like a Cartoon Network, which is like nonstop.
What about Adventure Time? Was there any crazy stories on there? Like
Oh.
not bad stories.
No,
like,
no,
it could
no,
be
no.
like this was really weird and cool.
Oh man, there's a lot actually.
I remember one from my internship with you.
Or go ahead.
Remember when we were scanning the James Baxter animation,
The actual animation?
the traditional animation. Remember you created that rig, that really like makeshift rig, because we didn't have a scanner for
We
the
had
animation
peg holes,
paper.
the animation peg holes.
Wait, do you have a lunchbox to do
There
the
was some
scanning animation?
deal. There was some deal where we
No,
didn't have
no,
that,
Yeah.
so we just had the
We
scanner.
literally had an Epson and we had to like tape the animation like sidebar. That's how we scanned everything.
That's
So
tedious.
That's how I did my thesis.
That's that's how we kept everything in registration. Yeah. So that I completely forgot about that.
I
That's
just
really
remember
good.
that. That was like the craziest thing.
That's essentially what a light box does.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you just now you have a
I just
actual
remember, like,
digital scanner.
I remember Joe just stressing out. He was just like, we're just gonna do this. And then he was
Tape
like
it
taping
down.
it down. He was telling me how to do it. And we stayed
Dude,
up
that
for a really
sounds
long time
nuts.
that one night getting it all done or something like that.
Yeah. The craziest stories, I mean, from that show is like really kind of like the first seasons when we were like, behind pen and we were like, we need the last storyboard page. We're gonna get to this meeting or we gotta ship out the show. That's like, but I think that's just normal for any show first starting out. But
Yeah.
I think when the first Comic-Con is when everybody like, I think Cartoon Network like noticed. They're like, oh, we have a hit. Like, and I think after that it was just kind of like, it just went uphill.
Did you
for
hear
sure.
anything from Nickelodeon? Like, did Kelly ever talk about like, oh yeah, Nickelodeon's like?
No,
really
but I'm
sad
sure,
that
but
they
I'm sure,
lost
but I'm sure Nickelodeon was like, damn it.
They were
Within the
kicking
industry,
themselves.
you know.
Everyone knows they were kicking themselves.
Yeah.
You didn't hear any like mouth to mouth.
I
like,
wonder how.
rumors?
I
No?
wonder if the show would have been like the same tone and flavor if it went to Nick.
Quick trivia aspect is the original voice actor for Finn was actually his brother.
His brother,
His
right?
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
Yeah.
The original one.
So
yeah.
it was kind of like OG Finn, and then like it got passed down.
Nice.
So
That's pretty cool. Yeah. It was his older brother, and then.
yeah, it was his older brother. Yeah.
Nice. What's his
Did he
name?
not want to
Jeremy?
do
Is
it
the
anymore?
Jeremy. Well, no, I think he just sounded a little bit too old.
Oh.
To be Finn. Yeah.
Cool.
Went
Nice
to
little bit of
puberty.
trivia.
Yeah. Dude, I'm blanking out. I'm so sorry.
no.
I really
Those
actually
are good
I
stories.
actually have a really cool story. I got to fly out to Spain and represent Adventure Time at one point.
Oh, that's
And-
awesome.
and that was like the perfect like combination of doing art shows and working on Adventure Time. I had invited these artists from Spain to do shows here, and because they knew I worked on Adventure Time, they were like, "We're doing this convention. You should come and represent Adventure Time and talk about it."
Oh, that's cool.
So I literally went to Kelly. I'm like, "Can I go to Spain for like a week?" And she's like, "Yeah, sure." So I kind of I filmed a little behind the scenes of like what we did on the show. I kind of did like an exclusive, and I literally edited the video like 5 minutes before my presentation.
Oh my God.
So
Intense, man.
yeah, it was crazy.
Skills.
So that was awesome. Yeah, that was so cool, and I made so many good friends from that trip. So that was like 5 years ago. It's nuts. So,
Oh my God.
yeah,
Has
Very
it been
cool.
that long?
yeah, I know. So that was a really cool thing. Yep.
That's awesome.
Nice, man. Nice. Do we have any other things to cover?
I don't think so.
I think we're almost wrapping.
Animation is awesome.
Animation is
squeezed
awesome.
out
So many
question.
opportunities, so many
Chogrin
challenges.
is awesome.
For sure.
You guys are
Chogrin is
awesome. Thank you for
Chogrin
having
is
me.
awesome.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for coming
Thank
by.
you. Yeah, thank you so much for coming, man. We had a great time.
Thank you.
I'm sure all of our viewers, everybody out there that's watching, and people that are thinking of putting their foot in the animation industry, they definitely gained a lot from hearing your story and like hearing
man.
all the stuff you went through, and basically you inspired a lot of people.
Yeah, thank you. I forgot about a lot. I think probably wanted to mention a bunch of other stuff, but maybe we can do a part 2 down the line.
Yeah, maybe.
So-
Yeah,
yeah.
we keep saying to our guests like if that eventually we'll have you on again.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not just gonna be one time only.
We're not
we'll have
opposed to
guests
that.
on multiple.
Or if everybody thinks I'm super annoying, probably end up having
Okay.
Don't ever come back.
delete my video.
Thumbs up if you think
You
he's
guys are
annoying.
little toots.
So,
I mean, thumbs down.
No, yeah, if you want part 2, yeah, sure. Or maybe we'll do a little snippet when we play a game with you.
oh
we
yeah,
can do
yeah.
that, yeah.
Pizza party.
Pizza
Ah,
party,
nice.
literal
Cool.
pizza party. We'll have pizza too.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
yeah.
For sure.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
I'm down for some pizza. All right. Well, thanks everybody for watching the Ask Podcast today, the Animation Success Stories podcast, and thanks Joseph Game, aka Chogrin, for coming here. He was
Thank
awesome.
you.
He told us so much. He taught us so much. Hope everyone is inspired. We'll see you guys next time on the. What do you want to say?
Brian's words of wisdom.
Oh, Brian's. Oh, do we have Brian?
I feel like I had my back to you the entire time. I'm so
It's
sorry.
okay. No, it's all right. That's why I'm here.
There we go.
I got your back.
Brian's words of wisdom.
Uh,
time for Brian's
If anything, within this episode, I can say like influence culturally. Don't be afraid of those things.
Oh,
In
yeah.
fact, use them, exploit them, because that is adding to your voice as an artist.
Oh, totally.
And it makes you unique. It makes us all unique
Yeah.
about where we came from, the things that influence us, and the things we like to do, and the things we'd like to see in the world.
Yeah, and I think too, like for me, I feel like I'm a creature of like a lot of different melting pots. So like I definitely identify myself like as being Ecuadorian, but there's so much other stuff that I love, and then like I just try to like just mix it all together.
Mhm.
So yeah, and then there's other people that like I said, like Jorge, who's like, but that's just who they are. You know,
Yeah.
and that's awesome too, because she's like, you just see it like
Yeah.
in your work. So for me, that's probably one of the biggest things is sometimes I feel like I have an identity crisis, but
You
it's
use
just-
your art to create that.
yeah,
too,
and I think by doing my artwork and doing different projects, it comes out more and more. So yeah, just
Cool.
keep doing what you're doing.
So Joseph, before we sign off officially, where can people check you out on Instagram and stuff like that?
Everything Chogrin.
Every-
Chogrin.
So easy.
/ Chogrin. That's
Be
C.
simple, everybody. That's another piece of
Actually, my
advice.
Facebook page is facebook.com/ChogrinArt. That's the only one that's different.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Facebook Chogrin Art. Everything else Chogrin. That's CHOGRIN. Check out Joseph. He is awesome. His art is amazing. Thank you so much for being
Thanks,
here,
guys.
Joseph.
Woo!
We'll see you guys next time. Animation Success Stories podcast in the ass. Peace.
Like, share, subscribe. And,